Hello, my name is Rodrigo Iglesias and welcome to episode 2 of Luxury Lifestyle and the Health to Enjoy It. Today we have an action-packed episode starting at the most amazing Malibu Beach Yoga with Trish Bianco. Then we go to Sun Life Organics Cross Creek for the Billionaires Bowl. From there we go to Billionaires Beach and come to the crown jewel of Billionaires Beach for an investment opportunity of a lifetime. The estate with the tennis court overlooking the best view of the entire coastline from Palos Verdes to Point Dume. To top it all off, end up at the private beach club with an extraordinary surprise. Stay tuned! So take a look at the Malibu Beach Yoga February 20th through the 20th challenge.
So the 20 and 28 day challenge in February sort of keeps you on track for the new year. So February is where we normally see a dip off in clients. So 20 classes in 28 days. If you complete it, you go in the draw to win a month for free.
Let's count stars. Because this is your idea, right?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18, 19. Today is graduation day, basically.
You made it.
Made it. And so being the 19th of the month, we have 20 classes, so that's more than one a day. So the philosophy is every day and twice on Sunday. However, there's some days that you miss, so you gotta do the Sundays and maybe you do a Wednesday. And so that's the Trisha way. Trish, you've been phenomenal here, so we hope you come back for April. We're gonna have a whole bunch of fans coming, and please introduce yourself.
My name is Trish Bianco and I teach at Malibu Yoga. I teach a Vinyasa flow and yoga sculpt. So come on in.
Organics, we have a $1 billion bowl. This is the most complex and nutrient-dense bowl that we have. So it has acai, blueberries, collagen, we have colostrum, rice bran solubles. Glutamine is good for your muscles. Collagen is good for your skin, hair, and nails. And then we have some almond butter. And then we have some MCT oil. MCT oil is derived from coconut, and it's like one of the healthiest oil fats that you can put into your body. It keeps you full longer, and it's definitely good for like keto diets too. Have some silica, and we blend it with hemp milk. Get some granola. Strawberry, blueberry, coconut shreds. That's cacao nibs, and these are goji berries. We have lotus pollen, some Himalayan pink salt.
Here we go. First bite of the $1 billion bowl. Let me know how you feel.
Bro, that's fire.
Man, that's a lot of nutrition. All sorts of berries. I don't even know which berries are these.
Khalil, This rules. This should be $1 trillion smoothie, not a billion. I think we're getting a deal.
What do you think?
Deliciosa. Pychota.
Phenomenality.
Perfect.
Pychota. Sun Life Organics, pychota, bardzo zdrowe. Jak się zje cały kubek, to będzie się bilionerem dolara.
Billionaire on dollar. I got that. We're here in the headquarters office of Doug Burge Architects again. With Doug Burge on this episode, and HR, a trained architect from Europe that has a history with the house. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Doug is being involved in the process of taking this investment, what we're talking about today, what it is today and what it could be. And then I will talk about comps, so we have a clear idea of how this can be the investment of a lifetime for you and your family. Now, we're going to start with Doug Burge right here, and tell me, you're a little familiar with this neighborhood, right?
Yeah, no, it was actually the first neighborhood. La Costa is in eastern Malibu, and it actually had a major fire there a number of years ago, back in '93, and my wife and I actually bought one of the burnout lots right down the street from this particular property. And it was great. I mean, we built this house. I actually had my office living in a trailer, being in the property. Our kids were going to Webster School, an elementary school here, and very clearly remember that being an amazing place to raise a family. And everyone was building up the neighborhood at the same time. It's part of a beach club. It's part of the, when you have a home there, that this house that we're talking about today also is part of that beach club. Great place that you go with just the family to have a birthday or a barbecue, and it's just a very unpretentious neighborhood to be in. And I remember very clearly when I first moved in that we were walking the streets with our dog, and we came upon this house, and it was up on the hill, and it was all white, and it was like, whoa, look at that house. It's so cool. It has towers, and it had like a copper roof, and it had a tennis court, and it was like literally one of the only ones that survived the fires. I said, wow, could you imagine living in a home like that? It was like incredible. And we actually then got a tour of the house because the owner at the time, the original owner, happened to be down in the yard. And so we took a tour of the house. We were with our dogs and just walking around in our shorts. And I'll never forget it because when you walk in this house, it just, by its location, it had the most amazing view. I mean, like a 360-degree view, not just a view of the ocean, but a view of like, it seems like all the oceans and all up and down the coast. And so that was a long time ago. That was like 30 plus years ago that we had actually been there. And then to full circle the time, we'd been working with Rodrigo on a number of projects here professionally, working up and down the coast. And then he called me up and says, hey, Doug, what do you think about the La Costa house? I said, wait a second, I think I've been to that house. And so, you know, it's deja vu and things work out. He said, well, let's go visit the house. Let's go check it out. And it was like I'd walked into a time warp because it's interesting because it really had not changed. There was another family that had actually moved into the house that actually HR here, who was actually, I didn't even realize when I first met him, a trained architect from London and been doing a lot of different works. He'd been raised in the house ever since this was the family that was after we moved in. So he has a lot of home experience, meaning that he knows exactly all the ins and outs of a project like this. But I looked at it from an architect. I got a couple calls for some homeowners looking for special property. I called Rodrigo. I said, Rodrigo, what about that house in La Costa? He goes, this is great. Let's put these people together. So what we do when we meet people is that they can't figure out what's the old room and how do you get a view from a room that maybe there's a stair blocking it, or how do you open up a floor plan? But that's our job as architects. We see right through that. We can see the plan before it's even built. So what we try to do, and even before us here, is that we got a series of sketches, and we'll just do some outline, and we'll just say that there's an entry courtyard at this point. But right now the kitchen is over here, and then this is where there's a stairway that blocks the view. And we do in our designs, and when you see the pictures of the house, which I think are in another presentation, this is all the ocean and the view out here. So what you want to do is you want to open up as much as possible. Even when
so that's facing the ocean.
It's all the ocean this way.
Okay, very good.
And even if you're in a back bedroom, you can be in that back bedroom, look through the courtyard, look out to the ocean. So even through a back room, that you're constantly looking at the courtyard. Very important when you first walk in. Right now there's a bunch of trees that are blocking this. You got to get the people down and looking at the view. That first, oh wow, is what sets the tone for the rest of the tour. This house has a lot of square footage. You could never duplicate this in Malibu. It's got, I think, 17,000 feet. I mean,
That's 16,700,
which is unheard of. But you don't feel like you're in a 17,000 square foot house because it's, again, there's a lot of smaller spaces that if you're there with just a couple or two people or three people, then you don't feel you're overwhelmed in a monstrous space. There's a lot of homes in maybe West Side Los Angeles. You walk in these cavernous rooms and you go, how can I ever feel comfortable here? You're always comfortable in this house. Having a courtyard is great because when there's an inclement weather or a windy day, you can close these doors, have your party in the courtyard, and then it's just as nice. And then being in the courtyard, you can still look this way, and you're watching the planes land in Santa Monica.
That's that coastline view.
Yeah,
that
and
is
the coastline
delicious.
view is amazing because when the lights go down, you see the whole Queen's Necklace, and it's an amazing thing. There are other plans that we've done, which are the other levels. In this particular case, there are, which is the other sections of the house, which there are levels that are up on top, and there are plans that, for instance, this is the upper level here, which is the second floor.
This is the one that opens to that checkered terrace, right?
Right. So in this case, that we put the gym upstairs and the massage room and the spa.
And that big bedroom in the back.
And the big bedroom in the front now is upstairs, and then we have a...
Wow, so that turns into a beautiful bedroom suite.
It's a
Glorious.
bedroom suite.
Look at that.
Just don't garage to go down and take you down to the rest of the house. The level below this would be the other bedrooms. So the point is that you take a large house, you have to divide it into smaller sections that are then personal. So this sketch was just done in a series of a couple hours. We met with potential clients, and at this point, you know, anybody has ideas. We try to look at it because we do a lot of speculative big homes. Is what are things that are like maybe super sexy ideas? What are things that are kind of fun? What are things that are kind of playful? This is the kind of property with the tennis court, with the pool. It's like you just went to a country club. The whole point of buying this property is that when you think about it, when anybody ever travels to a beautiful exotic resort, they always walk into that bathroom that's got an outdoor shower or that has a garden and go, gosh, I wish my home looked like this. This is the kind of home where this home would look like your favorite resort. And that's really the key here. You have this natural, amazing landscaping. You could never duplicate the landscaping. The views are ridiculous. You have all the amenities of a country club. You get your tennis court, you can throw parties there, you can be a part of a charity organization, and you can throw like a big ball. So the house really, for a remodel, it's unbelievable. And it can be anything that anybody wants.
Wait a second. You just touched on the vein, a remodel.
Yeah.
How fast can you do, because Malibu is notorious for taking time with the Coastal Commission in doing things. So do we need to wait a whole bunch of time, or can we say, hey, with the right team, with the right people put together, can we have something ready in?
Well, that's the magic of this project, is that in most scenarios, if you had started a 17,000 square foot house, whether I don't even care if it's a 10,000 square foot house or 6,000, just the permits alone are going to take you 2 or 3 years, and then you're going to be under construction for another 2 years. So it might be 4 or 5 years even before you put a pillow on the bed and you crack your first beer. But the nice thing about this project is that you can start this project because you're not adding any square footage. You're just remodeling within the walls. You're just removing minimum structure. So within all those walls, you're not tearing down roofs. You're just reconfiguring the inside spaces. You're working with a great interior designer, and poof, within a year, you could be moved and lived into this project.
Oh yes, that sounds like music to my ears.
Well, I mean, but it's listen, you could take another 3 years if you wanted to. If you got to wait for some crazy thing you ordered from Europe and then that just backlogged your project, you got to make smart decisions. But somebody that wanted to buy this property, and listen, it's fully habitable right now. Mm-hmm. They could just paint it and just move some furniture in and rent it out if they wanted to. It's not like it's
actually now, as a breaking news, not yet on the market, for $75,000. And if you mention this video, you get it for a $5,000 a month discount. $70,000 a month. You can run your basic resort company retreat out of this property.
Yeah. So the point is that a lot of people, while they're waiting for the permits, waiting for things to go on, they could get some income. And even if somebody wanted to take the time with the designer and take 6 months or whatever to design something. They can pull some income even on an Airbnb or on a temporary basis. So the point is, it's not like you're buying a dirt lot. You can't have any way to get some income. So that's always a nice thing to know when you're buying a property. And then once you get in and start, and then the fact that you're not doing heavy construction, you're not pouring a lot of concrete, you're not moving in a lot of steel beams, the construction period goes way down. And so you're instead of building a year and a half or 2 years for it would be a minimum of 2 years to build this house from scratch. You could build it all in about 9 months. You could do another design. So I would say realistically, it's probably a year, but that's amazing in today's world. Amazing. You can't even identify the property or even go through escrow in a shorter period of time. So
last question to wrap it up. So how easy would it be to build a tennis court with lights on the view, 16,700 square foot air-conditioned space on almost 2 acre lot in Malibu? How easy would that be?
Well, it made it a lot less easy. Just 1 week ago, they just reduced the maximum house size in Malibu to be built to 8,500 feet, including your garages.
So we have double.
Else. Well, you have double, but that's not even including even all the garages and the secret rooms and the tunnels and all the fun stuff that are in this house. But you know, there's not even the fact that the tennis court, you can build a tennis court in Malibu, but the Coastal Commission does not allow you to have lights. You have a lighted tennis court vested for life on this property. The tennis court itself, I would live there because it does have the best view. I'll just put a couple campers up there, or maybe a tent, and turn it into grass and make it a big outdoor soccer lawn. But the point is that there's a lot of this project that even it's by location, which is even something to talk about, is because it is, they call it close to town. Malibu's 30 miles long. And if you can have a property that's close to West Side Los Angeles, that's closer to the airport, in a busy summer day, it cuts down literally a half an hour to an hour of your trip versus going to another home, another part of Malibu. That's what's nice about it. Let alone the private beach club. If you want, you say you don't have a beach house, but you do have a beach house. Because when you go to the beach, you go to the beach.
Yeah.
You bring your cooler, you bring your kids.
And nobody else can come in unless it's invited by you.
Exclusive to La Costa. It's a private beach club. There's only 2 private beach clubs in all of Malibu, one in La Costa and one in Malibu West. So it's very exclusive in that respect. And most people don't like living even on the beach because it's the pounding of the sand, and it takes a lot of toll on the house. So I can't imagine a better property, one by size, by location, and by potential. And so this house has the potential to become what anybody ever wants. Whether it want to be modern, you want to keep it traditional, you want to keep the copper roofs, you want to bring your own designer in, it's unlimited as far as that goes. And the other thing is, and this is important to know, that Malibu is a great place to raise a family. And people use the public schools. And it's because of this beach club and because of the location. It's not a house where you feel like it's not safe. It's a very safe neighborhood. It's a walking neighborhood. There's nobody really even driving around. And so to have that kind of neighborhood where you know that your kids are walking around, they can literally go down to the beach club with a lighted crosswalk to get to the beach club. So all these things add up why you buy a house somewhere. It's not just the second home like you might have in some locations. So having it be a family home also is a key thing.
Yes.
I think.
It could work as a compound for somebody.
Yes.
It could be as a great corporate retreat.
Yes.
And home office.
Yes.
And a compound at the same time. You can. The current owner, was able to run his business and run most of the expenses of a big estate.
Well, that's part of the house. It's got an amazing opportunity to upgrade the screening room. Everyone has the offices now. No matter what business that you're in, you're working from home. This particular house has detached quarters, so you can run up to 2,000 or 3,000 square feet of your own home office. Have your own staff there that could come and go, and they're never even going through the house. It's actually, you have the main house, which is 3 stories, and by the way, you can't build 3 stories in Malibu anymore. The fact that it's multiple stories. There's 2,000, 3,000 square feet alone under the tennis court. And again, this is all permitted square footage. This is not square footage that's not legal, which is another key thing. So having the business, having the parties, I don't know, there just doesn't seem to me to be a property anywhere around at this price point that has this much potential.
Yeah, and that brings me to the point that anything that really has sold for 50, 60, 70, $100 million has to have the size or the prime location, and this one actually has both.
Yeah, and that's the one I looked at it. And so it's really, I don't know, the more I talk about it, the more it says, well, you know, we got to figure out a way to get this property.
We gotta make it happen. So I know HR is working with some contacts in Europe.
Yes.
It was very important. We had this meeting, so we came up with, see what your concepts were, see what HR put together for the European people could put the consensus together with numbers.
Yes.
If we're talking 18 million, 9 for the property, it's a little over $1,000 a square foot. This remodel, what would be? Give me a contingency budget of $5 million.
Right, even a contingency budget. I mean,
so let's say it could be $3 million, $4 million, and a contingency budget of $5 million. So
if you could spend $5 million and build an amazing house. You could spend $10 million and I don't even know what kind of faucets you'd be picking up for $10 million. But the point is that starting a house from scratch of this size, just to build it alone, you're probably talking about $30 million. So to buy it for 18, to put, even if you put the 10 in, I mean, you're way ahead of the game. And again, you're not starting over from scratch, which is a big thing. It's
foundation. Let's talk about the foundation, if you, because it's that area is kind of complicated with the soils. But
yes.
Apparently, this house was built like a brick box.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we all were there during construction. The way the permits were actually established is that there is permit history, which is great. You know, there's a amount of caissons that are on the property. It has not moved. The pool is literally on the edge of the slope. And so, as in Malibu, there is not that perfect property. There is no property that says, hey, look at that perfect property. So there is geological areas that are around it, but this particular property, it appears to be, from all intents and purposes, as strong as an ox. So that's what I've heard, and so we'll stay with that.
Yeah, perfect. You know, I haven't. It's when you go through the rooms currently, and this is important, and when we're talking a remodel,
right.
You have the volume, you have
right.
the skylights, you have the room, you have the fenestration, easy to open into,
right.
from being pane windows into blank, open Marisol modern windows.
Yeah, no, I think the whole thing has an opportunity, again, depending on the buyer, to the level of what they're used to, the level that they expect to come to. This has I guess you could say, a palette or an opportunity to be whatever it wants to be. And so whether it's one style, more traditional, wants to be more modern, that's where you work with the designers and you work with the people, the local architects and designers, to come up with something to move those permits fast and to get the specifications that you want. So I think it's definitely a great project.
Let's work on it together. Let's
okay.
find the buyer, make a deal.
All right.
And I'm here at La Costa Beach Club with Brian, and Brian is the host for many years. Tell us a little bit about this place.
Every time I walk in here, my whole demeanor changes, you know, coming from PCH where it's all traffic. You walk in, you see the beach, you have this beautiful view. So we have a kitchen, we have barbecues, we have tables for all the family.
How many people can you sit?
I think up to 200 guests.
200. That's a pretty nice number.
So, you know,
At your private beach club here, so we have also, I can see a facility over there. Explain to me what happens in that corner.
So we have stuff for the kids over there, a nice jungle gym. We have volleyball back here. We have a camp for the kids, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like a morning kind of camp.
Let's say that I'm J-Lo, and I'm coming here for my meeting with the owners of Cayo del Bar. And I get off my yacht, and I use one of these new devices I'm going to show you in a minute. And I come here to the coast, get the hair out, and so now I don't want people walking in here. And any of the public coming here past the, what is the sea line? What is
Yeah, it's the sea line.
So between the two buildings,
Between the two buildings, they kind of
nobody can walk in here.
Right.
Unless you are a guest of the homeowners.
Yeah, the homeowners. Yeah.
That is, you know, it's really a very unique feature, especially here for Malibu, because privacy is such an issue. and then your kids can be played in a completely safe environment, away from any kind of harassment of any kind. That's awesome. Thank you, Brian. You're awesome. Okay, see you soon. And here's the surprise I promised you. I hear there's some traffic on PCH. So from Calle del Barco, I'm taking my board and flying it into my next meeting in Santa Monica. Why not?